Well, managing this pandemic, quarantine, and all the responsibilities in New York City has been kind of a challenge. I got out of quarantine just a few days ago, and my first thing I did was I took a ferry with my daughter over to Astoria, Queens, to walk around some neighborhoods there she was thinking about moving to. And while we were standing looking out over the East River, this beautiful view of Manhattan in the distance, looking over Roosevelt Island, this man started approaching, followed by a woman who was holding out a plate of food, food from a halal food vendor. It was kind of odd, and he had spittle or something all over his shirt, and he looked kind of like talking like that, and I was just like dismissing him completely, thinking this isn't somebody I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with this. And then my daughter, who's smarter, she goes, "He needs a Heimlich." And I was like, oh my God. And I ran over, and sure enough, he needed the Heimlich. And I gave him a Heimlich maneuver, and some stuff popped out, hit the railing, and some stuff fell on the shirt. And holding his wet shirt and him was just really gross for me in terms of this virus. Even though I think I'm protected, and even though I tested negative, it's like I try to be careful, and this just made me super uncomfortable. And then I looked at him, and he was like he wasn't over it. It seemed like he was partway over it, because he said, "Do it again," so he could breathe now, but he felt like he still had more in there. So I dove back in, put my arms around him, squeezed on his abdomen, more stuff popped out, including a bunch of vomit. And it went all over my hands, and I'm holding this guy. I'm doing everything that you are not supposed to do, right? But what do you do when confronted with something like this? Curiously, I wonder if this was affected by a previous experience I had in Arizona this summer, where I saw a person lying on the side of the road, and I was afraid they would get run over by a car. But I called 911 rather than getting out of the car to see what was up with them, because I didn't want to be infected. I didn't want to deal with whatever was going on with this person who was passed out on the side of the road. I was criticized widely over Facebook for that, called a wimp, a blah, blah, a blah, blah, and a blah, blah, each word succeedingly worse and more sexist. And I wonder if that made me help save this guy, but I don't think so, because the person on the side of the road, I couldn't tell, drunk, dead, sick. I had no clue, but this guy was gonna die right in front of me, it looked like. So I did it. He said thank you. He wandered off kind of in a daze, and I grabbed Violet and she offered me Purell. She's very miserly with her Purell. I don't know where she got that from, but she just gave me a little bit, so I had to ask for it 3 more times. And then I'm kind of stunned to admit this, but then we went out and had a Greek lunch in Astoria, sitting outside, and I washed my hands and everything, but wow, I could be completely full of the virus right now, right? If I can carry it, but I don't think I can. And that's the dilemma of living today in New York or anywhere. It's like, what do? You have to live a life, but you have to protect yourself and your neighbors too. It's a huge conundrum, and it's irritating as hell, like really irritating. I do not love you, virus. I do not.